Welcome to Fast Recaps. Follow us today to a 2015 American epic revisionist Western survival drama film called The Revenant. Before we start, be aware there are spoilers. The movie begins with a scene of a group of trappers including Hugh Glass and his son Hawk sneaking through the forest hunting for pelts. We are traveling back to the 1800s in North America. During this period, the colonization of the New World is raging strongly. People from the Old World come to North America to exploit resources. Clashes between indigenous tribes and people from the Old World are inevitable. The hunting camp of Henry and his henchmen, including Glass and his son, is raided by an Arikara war party. Realizing the danger, Glass returns to mobilize the others to get on the boat to the river. After a while, only a few surviving trappers board the boat and successfully escape. Glass is hired to lead Henry and his trappers as he is familiar with the territory. Glass suggests that they get off the boat and travel to Fort Kiowa, their base. This idea is opposed by Fitzgerald, a mean trapper who thinks Glass's ideas always lead the crew to their deaths. However, the team still follows Glass's orders to carry the pelts and belongings ashore. Henry requires the crew to stash all the pelts in a hidden place and go back to Fort Kiowa, which is quite a distance away. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald repeatedly complains about Glass's plan, calling it stupid. Even though Henry tries to dissuade, Fitzgerald continues to scold Glass and his child, Hawk, his half-Pawnee son. After that, Captain Henry orders the group to go through the forest to return to their base. Meanwhile, the Pawnees are searching for traces of Pawawa, the abducted daughter of the tribal chief. The chief leads the search, and together they head north after finding some traces of a campfire. The next day, the trappers continue their journey into the woods. While Glass is wandering in the woods, he sees several bear cubs. Suddenly, a mother bear runs towards and attacks him, attempting to protect her cubs. After a while, seeing Glass lying motionless, the bear gives him up and runs to her children. Seizing that opportunity, Glass grabs the rifle and shoots at the bear but is pushed back and hit again. He grabs the dagger and stabs the bear several times in an attempt to kill it, only to send both of them rolling down the slope. In the end, the mother bear dies, leaving Glass severely injured. He is later found by a few people in the crew. Henry quickly gives first aid, but as the wound is so severe, they believe he may die and will be left behind. Meanwhile, at the camp of the Pawnee, a Frenchman approaches and negotiates with the tribal chief. The leader wants the French to bring them horses and guns to find his daughter in exchange for the pelts. After examining that the pelts are stamped, which could only be distributed for a cheaper price, the Frenchman continues to bargain. Eventually, the Frenchman accepts the deal and gives the chief 5 horses. During this time, Henry comes up with a new plan. He divides the group of 9 survivors into 2 teams. The first team takes the lead and scouts up front while the second team follows carrying Glass. At this moment, Glass is lying on the ground. Hawk is always by his side supporting him to fight the pain. In the snowy morning, the team together carry Glass on a stretcher, slowly heading to their base. However, the bad weather and a dying Glass only make the situation worse. The crew are also exhausted. Fitzgerald suggests that the crew must mercy kill Glass. Henry, however, can't pull the trigger to finish Glass by himself. They come up with an idea which he'll pay 3 men to stay and take care of Glass, including his son Hawk. Jim Bridger, a young trapper, agrees to stay whether Henry pays him or not. Fitzgerald offers to stay and look after Glass, but in exchange he wants Henry to pay him $300 to make up for the loss of the abandoned pelts. Before parting, Fitzgerald promises to Henry that he will take good care of Glass until his last breath and execute a proper burial when he dies. While lying down, Glass begins to vaguely relive the good times with his family years ago. Next is the traumatic past when he recalls the memory of his wife being killed in a massacre. Not long after Henry and the others are gone, Fitzgerald digs a pit himself and forces Glass to die. Fortunately, he is caught by Hawk. As Hawk tries to call Jim for help, Fitzgerald kills the boy to cover his crime. When Jim returns from the stream, Hawk is nowhere to be found. Fitzgerald pretends to be oblivious while Glass has witnessed everything and turns a hostile look to Fitzgerald. At night falls, while Jim is fast asleep, Fitzgerald wakes him up and informs that there was an Arikara attack and that they need to run away. Before leaving, Fitzgerald drags Glass down into the dirt pit and points the gun to end his life, despite Glass screaming in pain. Jim attempts to stop Fitzgerald. He then tells Jim to kill Glass by himself so he could run away first. Still, Jim can't do it. He leaves a water canteen to Glass and follows Fitzgerald to escape. Meanwhile, Henry and his group head to the waterfall back to Fort Kiowa. Down the pit, Glass eventually manages to climb out and crawl around to find his son. At a tree stump, Hawk is found lying still. Back to Fitzgerald and Jim, Jim gradually learns that Fitzgerald lied to him. Fitzgerald admits his lie and explains that leaving Glass behind was the right choice, since Glass won't make it to recover anyway. The men continue to move toward the base. Elsewhere, Glass realizes he couldn't save Hawk anymore. He crawls on the way to find help alone. Glass crawls to the riverbank to find some water and think of a way to heal the wound. He manages to stay by the river in a small cave. Not long after, he encounters the Arikara tribe and tries to escape. Upon the pursuit of the tribe, he drops himself into the fast-flowing waterfall. When getting downriver, he clings to a wooden tree along the riverbank and makes it to reach the rock nearby. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald and Jim are on their way home. They encounter a native village, which was a survivor after the massacre. Jim leaves some food for her without letting Fitzgerald know and then follows him on their journey. At dawn, Glass wakes up and continues to travel after a dream about his deceased wife. He looks much better. Glass steps ashore with a cane and sees a pack of wolves attacking a bison. In the evening, he realizes there is someone nearby. It is a Pawnee man collecting what was left from Wolf's hunt. Seeing the man enjoying the leftovers, Glass decides to ask for some. The two men only keep quiet and finish their meals. The next morning, the Pawnee man wakes Glass up. Glass reveals that he was attacked by a bear and his son had been killed by a bad guy. At this point, the Pawnee man, Hickok, sympathizes with Glass for his loss. However, Hickok advises Glass that he shouldn't take revenge as revenge is in the Creator's hands. He can see Glass's anger. Back to Jim and Fitzgerald, the two finally make it to Fort Kiowa. At Henry's office, while Fitzgerald is lying to Henry about Glass's death, Jim is sitting in silence and feels bad about being a part of it. Later on, Henry pays Fitzgerald and Jim. While Fitzgerald shamelessly receives the money, Jim refuses to pay and leaves. Back to Glass, he and Hickok have a good time together. However, they encounter a snowstorm. As Glass can't cope with it, he falls to the ground unconscious. During the snowstorm, Hickok tries to heal Glass by putting him into a sweat lodge that he constructs by himself. While sheltering in the lodge, Glass has a dream of him reuniting with his son. The next day, after regaining consciousness, Glass gets out of the tent and sees his companion, Hickok, being hanged on a tree nearby. It is the French people who camped nearby that killed Hickok. During this time, the Pawnee tribal group is looking for the chief's daughter, Pawaka, and they seem to know where she is. At the French camp, Glass crouches down behind the horses when he sees one of them dragging Pawaka to a hidden corner. Glass then quickly takes down the French guy with a gun, rescuing Pawaka. When the others approach, Glass shoots one of them dead and runs off with a horse. After being released, Pawaka goes to a stream in the forest. As for Glass, he decides to stop by in the middle of nowhere to rest. In the morning, to his surprise, he is attacked by the Arikara. Glass runs away on his horse, but unfortunately both fall off a cliff. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a snowfall and the horse is long dead. He shelters inside its corpse to avoid the harsh weather. In the morning, he continues his journey looking for Fitzgerald to avenge his son's death. At Henry's camp, a frightened Frenchman comes to ask for help. He reveals that he survived from the Arikara attack and brings with him a canteen which is identical to the one Jim left for Glass. As Fitzgerald confirmed Glass was dead, everyone is assuming that his son Hawk could be alive. Henry immediately goes with his trappers to find Hawk. Fitzgerald chooses to stay at the base. At night, Henry and his trappers find Glass, who is exhausted in the forest. When the crew return, Henry immediately runs to find Fitzgerald, but the guy has run off. Before leaving, he took all the money in Henry's safe. Henry goes to Jim and furiously scolds him as he thought Jim is in the same boat as Fitzgerald who lied to him. Back to Glass, he reveals to Henry that Jim wasn't at the scene when Fitzgerald murdered Hawk. Even though Jim knows that Glass wasn't dead, he was taken in and threatened by Fitzgerald. Now, Glass needs a horse to track down Fitzgerald, finding him for revenge. The next day, Glass and Henry ride out of the camp and split up to track Fitzgerald. Glass finds traces of a campfire while Henry is ambushed by Fitzgerald. By the time Glass reaches Henry, it is too late as he is killed. Glass carries Henry's body on the horse to continue his mission. Fitzgerald spots Glass from above and shoots at him. He runs down to check on Glass, but it turns out to be a trap. It is Henry's body on the horse. Glass, who is lying on the other horse, shoots at Fitzgerald, but he misses him. Glass chases after and the two stop at the stream bank. They begin a brutal fight. When Glass seems to defeat Fitzgerald, a band of Arikara appear from afar. Glass remembers Hickok's words, "Revenge is in the Creator's hands." He releases Fitzgerald into the river toward the tribe. The tribesmen finish Fitzgerald off. When they head towards Glass, instead of killing him, the tribal chief thanks him as he saved his daughter, Pawaka. At the end of the movie, Glass goes straight towards the woods where he begins to see visions of his wife's spirit. If you've enjoyed our video, please like and subscribe to watch more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. Thank you.